I'm going all in. Get him flew out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in.
Hey guys, what's going on, everybody? This is Dayne for NyynewsTV. This is the Heat Sheet Podcast. My co-host Carlos and I have been off for a couple weeks because I have been really, really sick. So we apologize about that, but we're back now. Carlos, how you doing? Thanks for being patient with me while I was sick, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. That's first and foremost.
Yeah. So what did we miss out on?
I heard a lot has been going on. Last night I heard from a reliable source that Everson Pereira had gotten the bump up to Scranton, and he was actually on his way there now. Just waiting on official word from the Yankees media people, but that's the word.
Well, it looks like I lost that bet to you and Julian.
I mean, he was on the 40, man. So it was kind of obvious. As long as he hit, it was the obvious choice.
Yeah, it was. So we want to talk about trade chips a little bit because we're going to hear nothing but that for the next month. We've already heard Soto rumors. I mean, I think he's probably the perfect fit for this team because he's 24 and answers so many questions long term. But when we look to the deadline, who do you see that you absolutely do not want to trade for anybody? Do we have a player like that in the position in the farm for you?
For me, the guys that I would not trade are Jason Dominguez. I'm the president of his fan club. Regardless of how his numbers might be looking this season, you still got to take into consideration that he's still 20 years old. He's still the youngest player in his league, and outside of the batting average, all the other numbers are fine with me. Strikeouts are a little high, but I know we've seen it in the past. It's something that he can grasp and reel back in. So Dominguez is definitely one of the guys that I would not trade. Probably Chase Hampton, Drew Thorpe, and Austin Wells. Definitely guys that come to mind that I don't want to see traded.
Right. I don't want to see those guys traded either. But for Juan Soto,
well, you gotta pay to get, right?
Yeah,
it has to hurt. So for something like that, it's definitely going to hurt.
I think if you look at their system, they're really thin in outfield prospects. They're actually thin at everywhere at the top. But so I don't really think that a Peraza interests them because they have Manny, Xander, and a couple of highly ranked middle infielders coming. I think it's going to cost two of Dominguez, Jones, or Pereira if it actually becomes a possibility to get Soto. But I don't have a problem using Jason or Jones in that situation because you're getting the player long term that is going to be the future of that position. And that's what you're trying to do with one of those guys anyway. At least that's.
And you also have to think about it that regardless of how I may feel about these prospects, if we're talking about a Juan Soto, I think he would be the first legit player that they would pair with Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge still hasn't had his Robin to his Batman. He still hasn't had that player. They've tried it a few times. They've tried it, I guess, with DJ, with LeMahieu, but unfortunately, I think all those injuries that he's absorbed over the last 2 or 3 years are just taxing his body right now. The bat is just not the same, and I don't think he should be an everyday player right now, especially at the rate that he's breaking down. So, I mean, a Soto move would make sense. It's just the cost, and as we know that when another team, when there's a blockbuster deal like this that's rumored, there's the Yankee prospect tax, right?
There always is.
The teams ask for the world of the Yankee of the Yankees in terms of prospects, and then they'll accept a much lesser deal from somebody else.
Yeah, it was like Garrett Cole when he got traded a couple years ago from Pittsburgh to Houston. They wanted Andahar, Frazier, Severino. I mean, they wanted the whole deal, and they ended up taking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
For me, it the trade that always grinds my gears, the Johan Santana trade. Like when I saw what the Twins got back, I was like, "Are you kidding?"
Yeah, that was. But Cashman didn't want to trade for him and pay twice. When they were asking for 2 or 3 of Hughes, Kennedy, and Chamberlain, right?
Right. Yeah, they were asking for them, and I think they were asking for Eduardo Nunez also, and I think one other player. I don't remember who it was.
They were asking the moon, and there was no.
But it was like I think Cashman met their goal, and they pushed a little further. Like, give me this too, and that was at the point where Cashman just backed away from the table.
Yeah. Now, as far as with the big club, other than fixing left field, if you put Peraza at third base, I think that takes us one step, a whole lot closer to being a championship caliber team. If you add a Soto.
Well, if you had a Soto, absolutely, because I think Soto would cover up the albatross that's at third base, the lack of production at third base and at catcher. I was looking at. I knew Donaldson was having a terrible season, but when I looked up in the box score yesterday, I saw 131, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I didn't think it was that bad.
No, but it's time to get Peraza up there. Josh Donaldson,
absolutely, man.
Josh Donaldson's not providing anything, and defensively, Peraza is going to be just as good as JD is right now.
Yeah, I don't think they would skip a beat. I don't think you'll miss him defensively if you swap in Peraza. I can't see that. Peraza's a very good defender, has a very good arm. I can't see them. I don't think it would be a negative.
Yeah, I don't either. All right, but let's jump into what happened last week in AAA.
At AAA, I had Jesus Bastidas as my player of the week. He had a pretty big week. I think he was. Hold on a second. He hit around 400. Yeah, he had 383, 1,000 OPS, 2 extra base hits, 5 RBIs. You also had Carlos Narvaez with a good week. He's another catcher that could be in the fold for the Yankees soon.
Yes, he could.
I know they liked him in spring training, and he has taken a step forward offensively. So there's that. Florial hit 350 again, 353, 2 extra base hits. I
can't talk about him.
Rortvet as well hit 333, a home run, 3 RBIs, 4 walks. I mean, there's guys that can help this ball club on that team.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, you give me Florial, you give me Rortvet, and you give me Peraza, and you go get Soto, and this is a championship caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how you can be a championship caliber team when you have a lack of production at third base, which is supposed to be one of your power positions, run producing positions, and then you've pretty much got an automatic out as catcher as well. It's pretty difficult.
Yeah, but if you put Peraza at third base, that fixes that third base situation.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
You put Rortvet behind the plate instead of one of Higgy or Trevi. That helps the offensive situation there. And you add a left-handed bat to the lineup by doing that. And then you go out and you get Soto. And now your lineup is pretty balanced and you can attack. I don't know. We're talking about AAA, and I'm still talking about Soto. Sorry, bud. Follow the bouncing ball. Anyway, what about? Is there anybody else at AAA you want to touch on?
I think Will Warren had a good week. He had a good week last week. Threw 5 shutout innings, 5 Ks, which is a good thing. You want to see more of that from him.
Yes.
And I think that's about it.
Didn't Beaters get the bump?
Yeah, Beater did. But he gave, I think, 4 or 5 runs in his last outing.
Yeah, it's just something we hadn't talked about.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's still adjusting to the ball.
Yeah.
But let me see. Yeah, he gave about 4 or 5 runs in that game. I don't think there's much to talk about as far as
no. I just wanted to mention that he got the bump up finally.
Yeah.
And then we go down to AA. Trey Sweeney had a really, really good couple of weeks.
He had been pretty good. I think he finished at 263 for the month of June. Let me see. He finished at 269, 347, 8 extra base hits, 8 home runs, and 18 RBIs. So production wise, our power numbers were there. And it's something that you want to see because, first, month and a half, 2 months, he had only had 2 home runs, but he's been turning it on in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, has he got 9 or 10 home runs now or something? 8?
I think he's at 10 home. Yeah, I think he's at 10 home runs now.
Yeah.
He's at 10 home runs.
And who was your player of the week at AA last week?
At AA, I have Tyler Hardman. Tyler Hardman.
Oh, yeah.
Been on fire. Last week he hit 467, 221, 12 OPS, an extra base hits, 5 home runs, 7 RBIs, 4 walks. I think he's hit, I want to say 7 or 8 home runs over the last week and a half. So he's been on fire. Yeah,
he had that 3 home run game that was preceded by a 2 home run game. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just off the chart. He's got like 19 now or 20.
Mm-hmm. He's at 19, I believe. 19. He's at 19. He's got that, he's got that prototypical big body third baseman type of body. The guy is just putting on a power display right now.
Yeah. Do you think that he has a major league future?
I definitely could see him as a third baseman, first baseman, probably first base more so. But yeah, definitely see that. Makes a lot of loud contact. He's a guy that could probably pile up on the home run column.
Yeah, that would make sense. He kind of fits that third base mold. I don't know if it's going to be for the Yankees, but I think he's going to be a major league baseball player somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, who else did we have in
Everson? Everson also had a week, 294, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. I think I was looking at his numbers yesterday. In May, he hit 310. In June, although it was a smaller sample size because he was hurt, he did hit 417. So, he's been really hot. I think he had a really good 15, 16 game span.
Yeah. Once he came back, he was just on fire. His average.
He was on fire before he got hurt. So he came back and he didn't skip a beat.
Oh, okay. I just know that his average went from about 245 up to about 275, 280 in a real short time span.
Mm-hmm.
He's been, I think, I hope to see him in the Bronx someday. I really do. I like Everson a lot. He's a good player. It's just if he can stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. I think for me that was the only thing for him. Is the only thing that I did want to see from him is just stay healthy. Because I briefly messaged him a few weeks before the season started, and I told him, "Hey, man, if you had been healthy, I would have seen 25 plus home runs from you." And hoping that that's the case going forward into next season. And I think as long as he stays healthy, he's got to be like a 30 homer guy.
Oh yeah. I mean, he hit 19 home runs in less than 200 at bats a couple of years ago. It was just insane.
Yeah, he hit 21. Yeah.
Oh, 21. He's just got insane power numbers. It's just if he can stay healthy, that's going to be the biggest drawback for him. Wells has been in AA now forever. What do you think he has to do to get a bump?
I mean, honestly, I just think it's out of his control, right? Because the problem is the logjam at the top. You have X amount of catchers up at Scranton. They actually just sent down Bro, and I thought that was going to give him the bump. But then, they still have Workvet, and they still have Narvaez, which they like. So where
and Duran
playing time from? And they still have Duran as well. So where's he going to get playing time from? I mean, I'm just baffled by like the moves and non-moves that the front office makes and doesn't make. Because I thought, for example, Duran was the guy that you picked up. He's been in the system for over 2 years. This season, he was having a breakout year. Why wouldn't they have sold high on him? You have the guy behind him. You have the quote-unquote heir apparent, which everyone believed was Austin Wells. So why are you holding on to this guy? Why aren't you trying to move him for maybe a younger piece? Down for the lower levels of the system, and that way you can send up Wells. But I don't understand it.
I don't either. I think that we're going to probably see in the next couple of weeks they deal 1 or 2 of the AAA depth catchers to open up some some space. Austin Wells needs to be up, and there's no reason to hold on to Duran, Narvaez when you have Higgy Trevi, Rortvet all ready to go. It's just they got to make some moves.
And I was gonna say, I know that Hickey is sometimes a fan favorite when the fans are beating up on him. All he has to do is hit that one home run a month, and he's back in their good graces. But I mean, he's a guy. I think he's 32, 33 now. Yeah. He's at the age where he's starting to get paid. I think he's making $1.5–2 million now. I mean, when you have guys that can replace him in Scranton and even at Double-A, I mean, why would you continue to pay that? I mean, isn't that the same reason why they moved Austin Romine?
Yeah, it is. And I have no idea why you would continue to pay him. When Hickey was Cole's personal catcher, you always had that to fall back on as a reason. But now Trevi catches Cole, so he's not tied to any one pitcher. Why not get Rortvet, who's 25, younger, with the better bat, better defender, up on the roster?
I think I've read a little bit about that, and I think that honestly it's just bullshit. All that, being that Rortvet didn't have that spring training familiarity with these pitchers, that they wouldn't feel comfortable with him at this stage of the game. Like, that's bullshit.
Oh, absolutely. I talked to a scout that said I'm not
gonna hold back. I'm not gonna hold back on an upgrade at a position just because these two guys don't know each other. No, that'll happen over time.
Yeah, the scout that I talked to said we had finicky like a cat catchers or pitchers because they hadn't worked with guys, so they didn't want to. It's just like, have you seen your offense? I don't know. Jason Dominguez at Double-A. It's been up and down.
Been frustrating. It's been frustrating. It's been up and down. He takes, this month I think he started off well, except for last night. I think last night he went 0 for 5, but before that he had hit like 400 in the first couple games. Right. So I thought it was a step in the right direction. But it's just like one step forward, one step back. It's just been a frustrating season, I would say. And my hopes is that he finishes the season strong and shows everybody like, hey, I'm still Jason Dominguez, regardless of what my batting average numbers might look like. For him, I think also the frustration might be affecting him a little bit, because if you look, his strikeout numbers are starting to tick upward. Yeah. It's just it just frustrates me because, like I said, he takes one step forward and one step back. He has a 2-hit game and then he goes 0 for 4. So, it is what it is, unfortunately, right now.
Yeah, I was really hoping that we were going to see him in the Bronx by August, and that's just not going to happen at this point.
That's definitely not going to happen. I don't see him at all this season.
Unless he goes on a 2-week tear like he did last year in the playoffs.
No, I don't think so. I don't even think that'll open eyes and say, hey, we need him now. Because I think for me, what I want to see from him is I want him to be a little bit more aggressive. I want him, you're not Jason Dominguez because you have a great batting eye, you have great plate discipline, or you're saying, hey, I'm only going to swing at pitches in this zone. I want him to be a little bit more aggressive. Chase that pitch if you need to chase it. Go with it the other way. You don't have to pull everything. I don't need you to be a 30 home run hitter. I just need you to put the ball, hit line drives all over the field like you did the previous season.
Yeah, even what he did in spring training was absolutely fantastic. If he just repeated that, he'd be in left field now. I don't know. I just want, if he's not traded, which there's only one guy I would trade him for, which is Soto. I want him to finish strong and hopefully be in a position to win a job in spring training next year.
Agreed.
Chase Hampton had his first rough start in Double-A. It's really his first rough start in a long time. I
think that might have been probably his roughest start that I've seen. So he did get knocked around a little bit. Definitely wasn't a good start for him, but those are things that you need to see from a player to see how he bounces back from. You need to see adversity.
Yeah, you do. It was time for him to have a bit of a clunker. He's going to adjust to a level. You want to see how he bounces back. It's a good little test for him. He'll be fine. He's too good not to be. Anybody else in that rotation? Fitz?
I don't think there's anybody else who had a good week in that rotation. Fitz also got knocked around a little bit. There was two pitchers that I did want to talk about at Somerset. The first guy is Edgar Barclay. I know you're really high on him. Last week he threw another 2 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts. Last night, I think he threw 2 innings. I want to say 2 shutout innings, maybe 3 shutout innings.
3 shutout innings and 5 strikeouts. 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, so he's up to he is up to what, about 15, 16 innings without giving up a run yet.
Yeah,
and over 23 strikeouts.
He's that funky lefty. I guess he reminds me of a left-handed version of Scott F. Ross with that arm angle and the flatter delivery. And I mean, the stuff isn't going to break glass velocity-wise, but it's just so deceptive coming out of his hand. Hard to pick up.
That's one of the things that I question. How could he get more advanced hitters out without that velocity? I mean, for me, it's like you need that, right? And he's a guy who barely breaks 90. I don't think he breaks 90. He might be like one of those 88, 90 guys. But for him, it's more of deception, right? Like you said, hiding the ball, all that breaking stuff that goes away. But he's been doing it.
Yeah,
he's been doing it.
It's getting hard to the point where you can't say he's not a legit relief prospect because he's putting up the numbers and getting the results.
I know last season he when in the March edition of Pipeline, he was a top 30 prospect.
Yeah, he was. And then he got hurt last year, right?
Yep. Yeah, he got hurt last year. This year he started on IL.
Yeah. There's another reliever in Double-A.
Danny Watson. Another 2 2/3 innings shutout innings, 4 strikeouts. The last time he gave up an earned run was on March 30th. So we're talking about a 26 inning span, 30 strikeouts, 8 hits, 7 walks. I don't know if any of you guys ever seen him, but he's a sidearm pitcher and he's just nasty.
Yeah, and it's about 6'7" from coming sidearm. It's all elbows and knees coming at you. He's got incredibly deceptive stuff. I don't know what the bullpen's going to need later this year, but he may be an option if something really needs to happen there. Or for sure next year he should be an option. So let's jump to Hudson Valley. The pitching down there has been the story for at least a good month, and the guy headlining that has been Drew Thorpe. Why don't you tell us about what Drew's done? Well,
Drew Thorpe, I think for the last, maybe now 33 innings, he's only given up 1 run. He went through the entire month of June just giving up the 1 run in 28 innings, I want to say. Last night, he threw another 5 shutout innings. Game was called early. 5 shutout innings, 4 hits, a walk, 8 strikeouts. He has no business at Hudson anymore. He has nothing to prove there. And he's just toying with batters because they can't lay off of the changeup.
No, they can't. He throws that slider that breaks like a curveball, and then he throws that changeup, and they just swing over the top.
Yep.
He's got to go up to Double-A. He's only given up 1 run in over a month.
I think 1 run. Well, last month he gave up 1 run. And you already see the start he's on this month, right? For another 5 shutout innings.
Yeah.
He has nothing left to prove in the South.
No, there's just nothing left. And I think you're going to see him and Chase fight it out as our top pitching prospect by the end of the year.
I mean, I'm excited to see him against double A hitters to see, how much he has left, or if how legit it is, because like I said, right now he's just killing that league.
Yeah, he's so far advanced that nobody has a chance against him. And when he gets to Double-A, I'm not sure that he's going to have the big adjustment period because his stuff is already so professional already that I think he's still going to be able to get outs at that level. I mean, we saw him in spring training get outs, and he looked pretty good. After all that time in high A, he's only going to look better. He needs to get up, and I do not want him traded.
Definitely not.
unless you're getting a superstar back, you don't trade Drew Thorpe.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do we have? Corella had another 9 strikeout game.
Yeah, but I think for me, is he, a break glass moment for him. He broke the 100 pitch count in his last start. He went 102 pitches. He had a bit of a rough start to the game. In the first inning alone, I think he threw over 30 pitches, but he ended up going 4 2/3 with 9 strikeouts. Gave up 2 runs, but I mean, that's something you want to see in his career as he moves forward. For him to be able to pitch deeper into the game and tally up that pitch count.
Yeah, I love him too. The stuff, the forcing, choosing, the way his off-speed stuff moves. I think there's more ceiling there, but he's right there, just a notch below Thorpe and Hampton for me.
Yeah.
But I'm still very, very high on this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody at Hudson Valley? That was
well. You also had Zach Messenger had a good game. He piggybacked off Carlos Rodon's start. Yeah, he piggybacked off Rodon's start. Went 5 innings, 9 strikeouts, just 1 walk, 2 runs. You want to see that from him. I mean, that's one of the things when we spoke to him, he talked about that he wanted to get his walks down.
Yeah, and he impressed me when we talked to him. He was such a smart pitcher. Mm-hmm. You could tell that when we talked to him, it wasn't about velocity for him. It was about shape of the pitches, getting his movement right. And I don't know what his role is going to be because he was a reliever in college. He's a starter now. So he can obviously do both. Mm-hmm. I don't know what his role is going to be at the higher levels, but that kid's going to think his way to the major leagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, when we spoke to him, he was definitely impressive to me. I don't know if you want to talk about it a little bit, but it was a very interesting conversation. I had no idea how it was going to go.
Yeah, it was an awesome conversation. It's too bad that we're going to have him back, but the audio got messed up during the file transfer and it corrupted the file. But it was an incredible interview. He was so complimentary of his pitch or of his catchers, his teammates.
Yep.
It was a great, great interview. Who else did we have at Hudson Valley?
Your boy Brendan Beck, another 2 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts. Still, he's yet to give up a run. I think he probably goes today.
Yeah, I'm excited that he's back. He's looked really, really, really good. The velo is still 92 to 96 from what I've seen. So the velo that he supposedly gained before he got hurt hasn't shown back up yet, but that could just be a product of healing.
Right.
But he's looked so sharp. I'm not sure that he's going to, if they didn't have such a log jam, I'm not sure that he would be at Hudson Valley for very long, but they have so many other guys in front of him. I think he probably finishes the year there.
I mean, yeah, because they're still trying to build him up, right? I don't think they're going to completely take the chains off of him. They're going to, still continue to limit him. I think for the foreseeable future, I think maybe he goes down the same path that Yoendry's went last season, and he's currently on again this season. But something like that.
Yoendry was just a guy I was going to bring up. He is on a short pitch count, and they're keeping him under 40.
Same thing he went through last season.
Yeah, but his ERA is like 1.32 or something like that. It's just ridiculously low. With as long as he's been on the 40-man, I wonder if the Yankees don't maybe try to move him at the deadline. I don't know. I think that he could have a lot of interest to some teams as a third, fourth piece in a big deal. Guy with a high ceiling. I don't know. They got to do something with him, though, because you can't have a kid taking up a roster spot that long. Hitting wise, Spencer Jones got hot while I was sick, and he got cold again.
Yeah, let me just double back real quick. There's 2 guys I want to mention, which was Bailey Dees.
Oh yeah,
who's having a very good season. And the one guy who was Jack Neely. Jack Neely, his last outing, he faced 7 batters, struck all 7 out.
Yeah, I'm really high on
Yeah,
Neely.
I was gonna say you like both of these guys. I know Neely and Dees.
Yeah, I do. I really think there was a good draft plan for them to draft relievers and build them up as relievers.
Mm-hmm.
They fall in the Danny Watson category for me as somebody who could move quickly and be in that pen soon with the kind of stuff they possess. It's just great stuff. Especially they're all that big body, 6'5", 6'6", 6'7".
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if that was what they purposely set out to do, but it's been crazy how many 6'7", 6'6" guys they've drafted.
Well, they've had success with hitters that size. They've had success with pitchers that size. They're one of the few organizations that has dealt with height well.
Mm-hmm.
And we see them on the other end of that now. They're going after shorter guys, which we'll talk about the couple of those guys as we get down to the FCL and DSL. But they're exploiting the height thing both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So just before the hitter, we were going to jump to the hitters at Hudson Valley. We had a couple kids get bumps from Tampa. One of your favorite, Augustine Ramirez.
Yeah. And Augustus has been on fire. Like his first game, I think in his first game he got his first hit. The next game he hit the home run, and it was a 2-hit game. The following game was a 3-hit game, and then last night another 3-hit game. On the night before, he got robbed. He hit a grand slam. I think it was in the 8th or 9th inning. Umpire called it foul, but it looked fair to me. Even Augustine was arguing with the ump about it. Sergio Santos came out to argue as well, but I mean, it is what it is. But he's been on fire, man. He has been on fire.
I have really upped my opinion of him since the beginning of the year. I think that once Wells graduates, he's our best catching prospect. And I've been asked comps about who people think he's going to be. I think he's a better version of Gary Sanchez defensively.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I've been calling him like a Gary Sanchez 2.0, where not only is he better than him defensively, he makes more contact than he does. And I don't think that he's the same kind of head case. I think he has I think he has the mental fortitude that Sanchez didn't have.
Yeah, in the times that I have seen him play, he looks like he's a above average baseball IQ guy, where Sanchez was not.
Yeah, unfortunately, he was not. And I love Gary.
I did too. Yeah,
sometimes he looked completely clueless.
Yeah, Gary was one of my favorite prospects of all time. Anyway, I'll get sick talking about Sanchez again. Who else got a bump up besides Ramirez?
Christopher Familia, who was just unstoppable at Tampa. I think he was hitting over 400. He's off to a good start. I don't know what he's hitting at right now, but I do remember seeing 3-4 hits in the last 2 games. But he's been pretty good.
Yeah,
he was due. He was due.
Oh, absolutely, he was due. He was tearing a hole through A ball, but from the left-hand side, I don't know why, he kind of reminds me of J-Ram.
I haven't seen that. I haven't noticed that.
Just the body type, the swing. I don't know. I just saw it and I went, that reminds me of Ramirez. But so who else down in Hudson Valley? Anybody else you want to touch on?
Rafael Flores continues to hit 462 last week. Alexander Vargas was my player of the week there. He had 429, 938 OPS, an extra bases, 3 RBIs, and he's another one of those guys. I went into the season saying he needs to do a lot more to elevate his status back up, and he started to do that, and then he's regressed right back. It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back with him. I don't know what the deal is with him. I went through a phase where I thought, okay, he's putting it together. And then all of a sudden, he just fell off of a cliff.
Yeah, this is his make or break season, and it's been so up and down with him. What do they do? As we're going to hear, they have guys coming that are going to need to play that position.
Yeah.
What do you do with Vargas? Do you make him a utility guy? Do you?
I mean, I think the deal with Vargas is that he's a bonus baby. They paid him a lot of money.
Yes, they
A lot of
did.
money. I think it was like $2 million. I want to say
2.5.
something. Yeah, they paid him a lot of money. And so I know that the Yankees are typically hesitant to take move against IFAs that they pay a lot of money to. But like you said, there's just a slew of guys coming up behind him. And I know he's a shortstop, but look, in FCL, you have at second base Kiner, who's a shortstop. You have Roderick Arias, who's a shortstop and who's killing it right now. At third base, you're playing Hans Montero, who is probably the best player on that team right now, or playing like the best player on that team right now. And then you still have Emmanuel Tejada. So you have, 4 shortstops rotating between second, short, third, and DH every single game. And they're just waiting. And then we're not even talking about how Jared Turner is also at Tampa, and he's also waiting.
Why he's in Tampa, it's just absolutely baffling to me.
Yeah, it's a question we've been asking for months now.
Yeah.
And I know you briefly spoke about Spencer Jones before, and I looked at his number because I know he was hot, but he ended June hitting 245, 336, 5 extra base hits. Not the numbers that I expected, especially since he started really hot. So I was a little surprised by that. So he's regressed right back into that mini slump. Another mini slump where strikeouts are being racked up.
Yeah, he's gonna figure it out. The talent's too high for him not to, but he needs to spend at least most of the rest of the year in Hudson Valley working on whatever that he's working on. He's not ready.
To me, we were speaking about this before. I'd rather see him go back, revert back to who he was, right? I'd rather the line drives into the left and center field gaps instead of him trying to hit 30 home runs. I don't care for that. If he hits 280 with 15 to 20 home runs, as long as he's getting on base that way, I prefer that than him hitting 240, 230 with 30 home runs. I absolutely hate those kind of players.
I do too. I mean, he was hitting 325 last year with power. Why would you try to change anything about that?
I don't know. They need him to hit more home runs. And I mean, this is an ongoing theme, right? Where they want every single player to do this. But I mean, that's not usually the way the game has been played, right? Every player doesn't need to hit home runs. Every player is supposed to have a role. The leadoff guy is supposed to get on base, either by the walk or by slashing singles left and right all over around the field. The second baseman is the second place hitter is typically, a guy who can move the runner over, high batting average, high OBP. The third batter is supposed to be your best hitter. I don't know why this philosophy changed. I guess the whole, we need to get our best hitter the most at bats. Let's put him in the 2-hole. I'm not buying so far because I don't see that it's worked.
No, it hasn't worked. And I'll take it a step further. In the minor league system, you see their best hitter hitting leadoff. You have Florial batting leadoff in Scranton. You have Dominguez batting leadoff most of the time.
Well, it's Sweeney or Dominguez.
Right. But one of those two have been leading off. Jones has been leading off in Hudson Valley, and Cerna's been leading off in Tampa. Those are probably the 4 best players at that level, at those levels. I want to know why they're not teaching or building us a traditional leadoff guy. That's what we've been lacking for so long at the top of the order, and they're not doing it. It drives me nuts.
For me, I think your prototypical leadoff hitter is Kiner. He's the one that's getting on base by any means necessary, and occasionally he'll run into one. And that's what you want to see, right? You want to see guys who work the count, guys who create havoc when they're on the base paths. That's, to me, Kiner right now is playing like the prototypical leadoff hitter that I'm accustomed to and that I want to see.
I would agree 100% with you. If he's the guy that in 2 or 3, 4 years, if he makes it, I want to see batting leadoff just because he affects the game with all his skill set so well. Anybody else, or can we jump into
Hudson? No. We could move on.
All right. Tampa.
Tampa has having an issue on the offensive side. We saw this with Hudson Valley, right? When Aaron Polinsky was promoted, and the same thing is going on now in Tampa, right? They took Augustine Ramirez and Christopher Ramirez out of that lineup, and now the offense there is struggling. Last week, I think the only guy worth mentioning was Dari Arias, 350, home run, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, but that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I briefly looked over what they did last week. It wasn't very impressive. The pitching there was okay. It wasn't great. I know Lang had kind of a start.
He had a but this kind of start, right? 5 shutout innings, 4 Ks, but 6 walks.
And that's what he struggled with last year, was his pitch count got high because he had so many walks and so many strikeouts. Hopefully they can get that cleaned up. Any other pitchers at that level?
Hayden Murta, who's another guy who's shown flashes. He went 6 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, no walks. But he's one of those guys that's shown flashes. He's thrown a couple, 1 or 2 good games, and then a third game will just be a clunker.
Yeah. It's A-ball consistency, something that you learn.
Yeah.
So he'll be fine. Now, I cannot wait to talk about the FCL and DSL. So we already mentioned on some of the names. You got Hans Montero there. He's probably been the best player on that team.
Absolutely. He last week he 444, 1156 OPS, 2 extra base hits, 4 RBIs, 4 walks, 2 steals. I mean, to me, the guy's been playing like the MVP of that team.
He has.
And it was surprising to me going into the season. I actually questioned, I was like, why did he get the bump? Like, I questioned it because I looked at his previous 2 seasons in the Dominican Summer League, and I was like, why did they pay him so much money? I don't see it.
He was their #1 signing the year after Jason for like $2 million.
Yeah.
And he just had 2 horrible
I think
years.
2.1. Yeah, they were not good. So when he got the bump to FCL, I figured it was just because of an age thing. But the dude is showing why he got that money right now.
And he's
been phenomenal.
Yeah,
and he's another shortstop.
And then, but he's been playing a lot of third base. You have Kiner down.
Base.
You have Kiner down there, who's also seeing stuff. And we talked about him a bit, but why don't you go through what he's been doing?
Well, last week Kiner was at 300, 444 OPS, 990. I'm sorry, 440 OBP, 990 OPS, 2 extra base hits, a home run, 5 RBIs, 4 walks.
And he steals bags.
But for me, the player of the week that was Roderick. 357, 526, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 5 walks, which is one thing Roderick is doing a lot of, is walking.
He did that a lot last year too. Even when he was struggling to put the bat on the ball, he was still taking quite a few walks.
Yeah, he was.
And for an 18-year-old to have that kind of bat control, that's pretty good. You're starting to see why he was worth so much money to the Yankees and why they went after him so hard.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how his career continues to progress, but right now he's really hot right now.
Yeah. And then also at that level you have Willie Montero, who is a center fielder, but he's been playing extremely well.
He has, I think it was yesterday he hit his first home run in the FCL, but he's another guy, kind of reminds me of Alcantara. Has that same kind of build, maybe a little more filled out, but yeah, he's a really good guy, a really good prospect, and I'm interested to see how his career keeps progressing forward.
Yeah, and then we have Emmanuel Tejada down there, another middle infielder.
Yep, another shortstop. Tejada hit 267 last week, 2 extra base hits, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, 3 stolen bases, and he's one of those guys that he's doing a little bit of everything. A lot of extra base hits, home runs, lots of walks, lots of stolen bases. He might actually lead. I think he's second in the team to Kiner in stolen bases.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw too. And while I was out, John Cruz, he's a 17-year-old center fielder, announced himself in the big way with a couple big games. What was it? 3 home runs he
had one game where 3 home runs, 6 RBIs, The game before that, though, he had I think he went 4 for 4 with 8 RBIs.
Yeah, it was just something stupid. And he's a 17-year-old in the FCL. You don't see that very often.
And that's one of the things for me is that when I looked over his season last year in the DSL, because I did follow him, the power numbers were there. I think his on base was there as well. The average was a little low, but being that he was just 16 years old and with those kind of numbers, especially the power numbers, that was definitely intriguing.
Now, we had some really exciting pitchers debut down there in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, well, first you had, for me, Henry Lane debuted last week. 2 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts, no hits, no walks. I think he pitched yesterday another inning and 2/3, 2 strikeouts, shutout innings, 2 strikeouts, maybe 1 walk or 1 hit. And you also had Luis Serna, who finally debuted.
That's nice.
Yesterday he pitched yesterday. I think he gave up a home run yesterday. He gave up a 2-run home run yesterday. But I'm just happy to see him back because there's a lot of potential there with him.
Yeah, there is. He was one of our better pitching prospects in the lower levels last year. Really came out of nowhere. Great changeup. I really want to see. He might be the only guy in the system that rivals Thorpe with a changeup. But who else down there? I know there's so many pitchers down there.
You also had Ryan Harvey with 3 2/3 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. He's been really impressive. You also have Sebastian King, 4 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 run. He's a guy that I think you could probably key in for a promotion. For me, it's between him or Osiel Rodriguez. They've both been having a phenomenal season out of the bullpen down there.
Yeah, they both actually need to go up. Rodriguez has been. He was one of the few high-dollar pitchers the Yankees signed, and they have not treated him that way. He needs to get moving.
Yeah.
DSL.
Let me just lastly, Carlos Lagrange last week pitched as well. He went 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, no runs. He did walk 5. I think 4 of those happened in his first inning of work. But what was impressive about that is that the inning he came in, he gave up a walk, then he gave up a single, then a ground ball was booted. A ground ball to second base, which should have been a double play, was booted. So that loaded up the bases for him, and he proceeds to then strike out the next 4 batters in a row. He struck out 3 batters to get out of that inning and struck out the next batter in the next inning as well. So for me, that was impressive.
You think?
And he's just one of those guys that's really impressive. He's very exciting. I mean, maybe it's the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but he's just one of those exciting pitchers that I hope figures it out and is able to curb that walk stuff.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be phenomenal. You just don't see that kind of stuff at that age. Not this completely different kind of pitcher, but stuff-wise, he kind of reminds me of Medina a little bit with that big fastball. Lagrange is one of those very exciting arms down there. Yeah. Anybody else at the FCL that you?
No, I think that's it at FCL.
DSL.
DSL, you had Jose Gonzalez, another catcher, but he's Venezuelan, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Last week he hit 714, a home run, 2 RBIs, 2 extra base hits, 7 walks. 18-year-old kid out of Venezuela.
Yeah.
You also had Luis Ogando. He hit 500, 1401 OPS, 3 extra base hits, a home run, 3 RBIs. He was a guy that I wanted to follow this season because I followed him last season. 18-year-old third baseman. He played limited because there's just that team was stacked that he was on, and I figured this year that he probably would do a lot better, being that he's now going to be a starter and he doesn't have to worry about playing, sporadically here and there. He would get more consistent playing time, and it's been paying off. He's been one of the best players on this team.
Yeah, he's been really good. Now tell us about Brando Maia.
Brando Maia hit his first home run last week. And he just continues to play well, continues to be exciting. He threw out in back-to-back games. He threw a runner out at home plate. The game before that, he threw a runner out at third base. Yesterday, again, he threw a runner out at third base. So, I mean, guys are going to learn to stop running on him. I told him I said something. I made a comment about that to him yesterday, and he said, "Yeah, the coaches have been telling these guys to stop running on me."
You can see why he's got that 70 grade arm. It just he's got a cannon, and I love his approach at the plate. He's not up there swinging at everything. Has a good pitch selection for being a 17.
He knows what he wants to do up at that plate. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see Garrett?
One thing I wanted to say about Brando, and I didn't notice it originally, but if you go to look back at him, he looks just like Soriano almost, and he even wears a number 12, which I thought was like, holy shit, that's uncanny.
I can see that a little bit. Now that you say, I hadn't thought of that. That's yeah, I can see a lot of that. The other comp that I had heard was at the plate was Gary Sheffield because of
for the
power.
Speed.
Yeah, but Soriano makes a lot of sense. That's a good one, Los.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, and he wears the number 12. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that. So, anybody else at the DSL?
Well, you had Johnny Burt, who had a 3-homer game. I think you asked me about him. He had a 3-homer game. He had 3 homers, 8 RBI, something crazy like that. You also have Santiago Gomez, who's shortstop by nature, Mexican kid, mostly playing second base. To me, right now, he's probably the MVP of that team. He's probably the MVP of that team for me.
Yeah, he's been playing well. Now,
there's another kid down there, a lefty pitcher, Pedro Rodriguez. Last week he went 4 2/3 innings, no walks, 10 strikeouts. Gave him only 2 hits.
The only reason I know any of this stuff is because you did a great job of sending me videos while I was sick. So I appreciate that, like you wouldn't believe. But yeah, he's been pitching really, really well. When do you see some promotions coming from those FCL and DSL kids? They always do it once a year, it seems like.
I mean, I don't know, because first of all, the promotions just started happening from Tampa, right? You just had Agus and Familia move up. They still have to move Jared. I don't know who else is moving up at Tampa, but I know that Hudson Valley just had to just put one of the relievers, Nick Patrick, on IL. So, I mean, there's definitely someone from Tampa has to come up that should bump somebody up from FCL. Like I already told you, I think Sebastian King or Alcia Rodriguez is probably the candidate or the guys who I feel would be most deserving of the promotion.
Yeah. And they also usually cut some guys before the draft, and the draft is coming up in 3 weeks or something. So
I know they've already cut about 3 guys over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So we'll see more of that before the draft. So what else? We have a top 25, 30 prospect list that we're working on that we're going to have out before the All-Star break. We got more videos coming from you. We're going to try to get a video for each one of those top 25 or 30 guys so everybody can see what we have coming. It is a massively different list than what we had at the beginning of the year. We've really had some pitchers change their trajectories and rise up that organization. So what else we got coming from you? Just recaps this week.
Yeah, pretty much recaps, video recaps, performances from players. I've been pretty busy with Augustine Ramirez and his videos since he's putting on a highlight reel every night, it seems. Pretty much it, just pumping out videos.
And we got some interviews set up coming from you soon, right?
Yeah, we have a couple guys that I have in mind. Just got to talk to them about scheduling. You know how that is. Yeah.
All right, bud. Well, thanks for putting up with me while I was sick. It's great being on here with you again. I missed it. And guys, sorry that we were out. We're going to be back every week now. Check us out at the Farm Report. That's going back on every night as well. Again, sorry I missed that for a week, but we're back. We're better than ever, and we will see you guys later. Thank you so much. Lowe's.
All right, guys.